Hey, this is comedian Dean Delray, and you're listening to Jim on Bass.
Hey, it's Ryan from the Jim on Base Show, and I want to give a huge shout out to my friends at Claim to Fame. They have some of the best jackets out there that I love to wear. You can rock them for date night, a casual outing with friends, or even while doing a podcast. They're lightweight, they're durable, and perfect for any setting. My favorites are the dark blue, the olive shade, and if you want to switch things up and go for a lighter color, one of my favorite go-tos is the Pacific blue. So check them out at claimtofame.com for all their different styles. The next time you step out, you'll be feeling good with Claim to Fame. Welcome back to another episode of the Jim on Base Show. For today's very special guest, we have on one of my favorite comedians, and he also has a brand new special out now called 5836. He's also the host of one of my favorite podcasts called Let There Be Talk. Please welcome the great Dean Delray. Dean, good to see you.
What's happening, buddy?
Yeah, well, you got a lot going on, right? I know you're about to hit the road with Tom Green for some dates. You got the special out.
Yeah, Tom Green tour starts today. It's just a short 5-day California run, ending at the iconic El Rey in Los Angeles. And it starts tonight in Fontana, which I've never performed in Fontana, I don't believe, but that's where they had that Fontana Speedway they recently tore down, which is a total bummer. I've been out there a few times to see crazy demolition derbies and shit.
Nice. Well, hopefully you'll tear it up on the stage then, right?
I've never toured with Tom Green. He's an old friend of mine. I used to host his self-made TV show when he was on the road. I'd go down and be the host. And he is just an amazing pioneer in this industry that does not get enough glory, I believe. He's a lot like Evel Knievel to me, where Evel Knievel did all those jumps in the 70s for like $16. And then later, X Games comes around and they throw like a Monster Energy drink patch on their arm and they make like $4 million. Tom Green, same thing, man. Early icon with podcasting / TV show out of his house. And, also early, way before Jackass or Impractical Jokers, doing those amazing, pranks on his show. And, he's just a soldier and a guy who's definitely, DIY and does what he wants to do. And it's definitely a guy that I look up to because sometimes when you're in the industry, they don't want you in the industry. So you have to create your own thing or you quit. Some people are like, they didn't want me, I quit. But I don't believe in that. I believe that you find your way, a lot like Metallica early on. Nobody really wanted to mess with Metallica. And then look where they are now.
Yeah, they got Dean Delray opening up for him.
That was their downfall right there.
Well, you just got back from New York City. I was there too the other day, and I think you popped in at the Comedy Cellar, right? I saw a show there, and as you know, it's a must. You got to pop in when you're in New York.
Yeah, I think I did like 4 shows there and I did like 5 at the Stand. And then I went to go see Bill Burr at the Glengarry Glen Ross Broadway play. It was just a fantastic week other than the shit rain. It rained every goddamn day. And there's nothing worse than rain in New York because you just want to walk around, And it's not like LA where it's raining, you get in a car. So it was kind of a poor timing, but also a great, great trip.
Yeah, I went there to see the San Francisco Giants play the Yankees, so it was a good trip. But like you said, it was freezing. I tried to walk to Central Park, get out and around, then it starts dumping on you.
Yeah, it was terrible. Did the games happen?
Yeah, the games happened. They called the first one in the 8th inning, but I was worried it was going to get rained out. But everything else went smooth after that.
Yeah, yeah. I've yet to be in the new Yankee Stadium. I went to the old one years ago, and I was invited by Giambi into that that area where they had like the statues and the heads in it.
In the outfield, right?
Yeah, yeah. I went out there. He gave me a hat, and it was a cool day at Yankee Stadium for sure.
Awesome. Well, I was thinking when I was in the Comedy Cellar, as you know, it's so crammed in there. And it just made me wonder, like, if you can get up on that stage and push through as a comedian, can you kind of make it anywhere after that? Or
Well, that's the thing. People go, how do you do the Madison Square Garden or the Forum? And I'm like, well, those are, believe it or not, way easier because people are there for the event. There's no drink orders, there's no check drops. They've bought tickets. Most of them are on dates or with their wives or husbands, and they're ready for the show. But in New York, in a small, small room with people just staring at you like, go, make me laugh, it's way more nerve wracking. The smaller and more iconic the room, like Comedy Store, Original Room, or the Cellar, or the Stand, these rooms where the people are just right there.
well, do you still get a little nervous, or are you more excited now?
I don't really get nervous. I'm over 6,000 shows.
Hmm.
I'm more am focused on, New York's a different rhythm. The comedy there is just boom, 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 boom. A lot of guys are geared around um, TV type of sets, like a Tonight Show or a Conan. Conan's no longer around, but you know what I mean.
Hmm.
So the joke rhythm is faster, and mine is kind of more these pieces. So you have to just be confident in what you do and reset the room and get them onto your speed.
Well, your special that's out, it's on. You can stream it on YouTube, and is that the main spot? Can you see it anywhere else?
Yeah, YouTube or my Patreon,
Hmm.
but we're just trying to drive everyone to YouTube. We got 22,000 views in the last 5 days, which is about 15,000 more than I was thinking I would get. A lot of people are like, you just put it on YouTube and you get 1 million views and you sell out theaters. That's what these other guys do. And it's like, that's not how it works, man. You're battling algorithms. And really what you need is the word of mouth and people sharing the special. That is the water to the seed that makes this thing grow. And I've been pretty blessed so far that a ton of amazing comedians have been sharing the special, and the it's 98% positive comments, which I've never seen. I was like strapped in, like, all right, here comes the fucking, 50-50, half bad, half good reviews, but it's been pretty amazing from what I've seen, and I'm pretty happy on that because I am super proud of this special. I made something that I think is pretty special.
Yeah, I loved it. I watched it, and the thing that was cool for me is I'm a fan of yours, and I'm in the Bay Area, but I come down every now and then to go to the Comedy Store, the Improv, and I saw you on the early stages, I think, working on it in the Belly Room. So it's cool to see it all come together.
Yeah, yeah, it's interesting when you finally shoot the special. I'm glad it took me 15 years to get a special out. And looking back on it now, I'm kind of glad because I'm just such a better comedian now after thousands and thousands of shows that it was just kind of a no-brainer when I was doing the set. I was like, oh, there was no spot in the set where I was like, well, this joke's not really that good, but I'll just, I'll yell through it and get to the next one. But that wasn't the case. I'd been on the road for 2 years with Bill Burr, of course, doing massive arenas. I had really fine-tuned this set. I could see it working all over the United States. I was ready.
Well, it's titled, 5,836. That's how many shows you've ever done, which is amazing, but makes me wonder, it sounds like you're going to keep on counting as you go, right, through your career?
Oh yeah, I'm already at what am I at this year? So we are on April 23rd, and I count every year. So
Mm,
I'm at 115
wow.
for the year already. And that was shot September 8th. So I'm over 6,000 now.
Wow.
Which is very, very mind-boggling to me. I stepped on the stage at the Comedy Store and did the open mic 15 years, 15 years ago. And here I am now, which is bizarre.
Now, if someone would have told you, I think it just kind of sounds funny when I think about it. If someone said 15 years ago, one day you're going to have a special, but it's going to be in a cave, would you kind of been wondering what's going on with that? It was a cool venue, though.
Yeah, when I started comedy, I had no expectations. I didn't start to get famous. I didn't start to get rich or something, which I'm neither still. But I started because it was something I wanted to do since probably the sixth grade when I was at a field trip camping, school trip, and we did kind of like skits on stage, me and a couple other buddies, influenced by SNL. And, I always wanted to do comedy. I grew up on Pryor and Carlin, and then later on, Kinnison, and then Chris Rock, and then, Bill Hicks. And then I got into Norm Macdonald. So it just was just ongoing through my music career. I was still way into comedy.
Well, you got to be careful. This is a warning for people watching it. It's such high quality that you don't want to get high or anything. You'll think Dean's coming through the screen at you.
Yeah, it's the it's shot in a cave in Tennessee. So the whole idea was, how can I make a special that I'm already battling, I'm not on Netflix, I'm not on Hulu, I'm not on HBO. How can I get a word of mouth out there where, I mean, if you look, I looked, this is how many specials were released. Hold on, let me look at this. In April. It's
I
crazy.
saw that you posted it last night, right?
Yeah, it's like,
One every day or multiple a day on some of them.
yeah, so it's like 25, you know?
Hmm.
25 or 30 specials. And in that, in that climate, you need to somehow stick out. Some people show their feet, you know. Some people have millions of followers already, so they can just drop it out there and get a lot of action or whatever. I'm in the middle of all that. So how is it going to be special? How are you going to make a special special? And I think the best way to do that was to try to have the best jokes and then have it in some interesting venue. And I got lucky. I found this cave through a podcast I did with the owner, Todd Mayo. And we went out to Tennessee. We had not been in the place. We rolled the dice, a very big gamble, because a venue has a lot to do with your success or failures of comedy. Because if you can't hear the laughs in a venue, you're fucked. If they dissipate and you're going like, oh, I was killing, but you can't hear it, or it's great. So I stepped on stage. I told the first joke and I go, oh my God, this is going to be great. And I knew it was on because I knew the material was ready. And the venue now was it was in my bones after the first, joke. I was like, oh, this is on.
Well, how do you handle it now? Like everyone knows in the comedy world that you're such a hard worker, you're always performing. So it's kind of reverse since you come from the music world and you're a music fan too. A band comes out with an album, then they promote it. But as a comedian, when you come out with a special, do you stick to some of those jokes or do you kind of have to crash and burn for a while? Like, how does it work?
Well, I'm in the middle of writing this. I saved the 20 minutes from the special and I'm writing another 20. I'm hoping to shoot another special here at the end of June. So that's how that's going. And you have to kind of, stick to the new stuff and not fall back on the old stuff like, oh God, I got to kill. This isn't going good. Because somebody once told me something amazing. They go, what's your best bit right now? And I said, this. And they go, remember when that didn't work? And I go, they're fucking right. I do remember when that didn't work or when it got little bit of laughs and it grew into this behemoth of what it is, So you have to just dig into the stuff. And also, I am a guy who loves finding the jokes. I compare it to panning for gold. You're just out on stage shaking this fucking thing around, and then something shiny comes out, and you're like, oh my God, I think I got something here. And you start working on it. So, my main thing I love about comedy is finding the shiny gold, and it's a fucking thrill and it's a rush. And to me, once it starts killing, sometimes I'll just shelve it because I don't want to burn out on it. And I know it works, and then let's just keep working this other stuff that's not working.
Nice. Well, it makes me wonder too. I know you're good friends with Bill Burr. He produced the special, and you, like you said, you've toured with him. I think you even were at Red Rocks touring with him when did one of his specials. And he seems like a guy that would, you're good friends, but would give you that honest feedback that everyone could use at times, right? Not just say something's great just to say it.
Bill and I are super fucking tight, real tight for about, I'd say, 13 years. And what I like about Bill is he doesn't really say anything. He just lets you find your own way. But if you're working with him, that is him saying you're kicking ass. He doesn't need to say it like, oh, he'll say like, hey, great set, man. Holy shit. Like when I did the forum, I smashed it. And he was like, God damn, you smashed it. And stuff like that. But, he's working while I'm working. So he's not up there like a coach going, let's see what he's going to do. When I'm on, he's getting ready in his head to do an arena. So he's not up there going like, okay, here, I got some notes for you or whatever, or tags. It just done once in a great while. I mean, once in a great while, he'll go, hey, man, that fucking joke is funny or whatever, But it's been a fucking blessing to basically tour with one of the greatest comedians ever to do it, the high watermark. And I watch him every night. Every night, as soon as I'm off, I watch his set. I watch how he changes it. I watch how he handles situations, how he switches the order of the jokes, everything to keep himself fresh. And I learn big time from that.
And he's a good drummer, right?
Yeah, oh yeah, yeah. And he's a fucking helicopter pilot, and now he's riding motorcycles. Yeah, the guy, he speaks French. The dude is constantly trying to learn something new. And that's how I live my life too. I get up every day. I haven't had a TV in 15 years. I'm constantly searching for new music, going to see films, whatever, to keep my brain active.
Well, when I have people on, whether they're comedians, actors, athletes, since I'm a big music fan, I'm always curious who was their very first concert. So, who was your first concert?
Oh man, my real first real concert was Dan the Green Five,
Mm,
1978. Cheap Trick, AC/DC, Journey, Blue Oyster Cult, Ted Nugent,
nice.
September 78.
Yeah, my first concert was a little bit later, but my dad took me to see Cheap Trick at the Sacramento County Fair. So,
Oh yeah, Cheap
yeah.
Trick. They're just those guys. I want a Cheap Trick career. You know, like a lot of people will think, well, they never really hit. They never became the big headliner. And it's like, yeah, but you know what they did do? They still sell out everywhere and they still play every day, 50 years now. And they've made an incredible living, and they've never gone way up and then down. They just kind of rocked it all the
Hmm.
way through. And I think that's the ultimate career to have. This is my 41st year on stage.
Wow.
And it was funny. Somebody left a comment on the special, and they said, I appreciate this guy constantly trying to do something to not have a real day job, but now it's starting to get a little pitiful. And I was laughing because you could just tell the comment came out of just jealousy and hate of his own life. Because if you're on stage for 41 years, I think you've made it.
Yeah.
I think you've absolutely, you know, it would be easier to get a day job. No problem. I mean, it would be so much easier than working 18 hours a day, 7 days a week,
Hmm.
So those type of people only put monetary value on fame. They think that for you to make it, you have to be rich and famous. And
Hmm.
I think, for you to make it is doing what you love every damn day of your life.
Yeah, definitely. And speaking of, Cheap Trick, they're always on the road, always touring. What is your favorite Bay Area concert venue since you're from the Bay Area? And what's maybe your current LA area venue?
Well, Fillmore's the
Mm.
holy grail for me, always will be. It's just the most magic room going in America. I think it's the top
Mm.
three venues in America. LA, I would have to say the Hollywood Bowl's pretty
Mm.
damn special, but I love the Forum. Even though it's big, they redid that shit I don't know, 10 years ago or something, put like $1 billion into it, and it is just fire. Other than the shitty, you know, getting out there is there's no fucking quick way to the Forum. It's unbelievable. Like when we did the Forum, we had to leave at 2 in the afternoon
Mm.
to get there at 3:30 for sound check at like 4:30. It's ridiculous. But once you're there, it is glorious.
Well, it must be pretty surreal too to perform at the venues that you went to as a fan as well. That's got to be, double whammy right there.
Well, it is mind-boggling. I did the Oakland Arena,
Mm.
and that's where I saw Van Halen on the Fair Warning tour. I saw Def Leppard on the Pyromania tour. I saw the Firm there with Jimmy Page. I saw Boston there. I've seen everybody in there. And then I did the Greek,
Mm.
which, I saw Pearl Jam, all these bands back in the day. I'm doing these venues and I'm just like, God, this is like a dream come true. But there's one left, or there's two. I want to do the Gorge,
Mm.
but what I really want to do is the Cow Palace. Yeah, it's the dream to do the Cow Palace. So hopefully Bill and I will do it. I mean, a true dream would be to do the Bon Scott tribute there, comedy and,
Mm.
and rock in that place. But anyway, yeah, the Cow Palace is really kind of the last super dream venue.
Well, yeah, the Greek's one of my favorites too, so that's a good ad right there. But if you could jam with any band, living or dead, who would it be?
Oh, well, I wouldn't mind singing a few songs with AC/DC, just as like a sound check. Just go in there and blast a couple of my favorites. Go in and do like Live Wire and Let There Be Rock
Mm.
with the actual band. I had the opportunity to sing over the actual recording of Let There Be Rock. It's on YouTube. A guy had the stems and he just took Bon Scott out of it and I sang on it. And that was
Wow.
probably as close as I'll get. But it was just incredible to do that. You're like, oh, this is the actual tracks I'm singing on.
Yeah. Well, that reminds me really quick. At the end of your special, you're singing Highway, right?
Yeah, yeah, that's from my record that came out in 1999.
That was a nice
Uh,
touch.
yeah, thanks. I got Josh Homme to do the intro music from Queens of the Stone Age. And I
Wow.
called him. I said, dude, I would love if you could just, write a tune for the intro. And he's all, sure, man. And a couple days later, he sent it over, and I was just blown away. And I didn't want to ask him for something on the outro. Oh, can you do something on the outro too? So then I went, you know what? I'm gonna put my fucking own song from my record on here, and it'll just let you know how long I've been in the business.
Nice. Yeah, that was a nice touch on there. And it also made me wonder, I know you're a big Led Zeppelin guy, so is there an artist or band, living or dead, that you wish you could reunite for maybe a tour or just go see a show one last time? Who would it be?
Well, yeah, I definitely didn't get to see Zeppelin. My regret was not going to the O2 Arena, but
Mm.
it was just such a sketchy situation. And I'm not a type of guy that that doesn't, roll the dice. I've been rolling the dice my whole life, but that particular gig was just fucking insane because people didn't have hard tickets in their hands. So if you're buying a ticket from a scalper, they wanted the money and then you had to meet them in line in London. Like, okay, here I am. Where are you? I stole your money or whatever.
Yeah.
So I didn't go. And also, Eddie Trunk and I had talked about how there was heavy rumors that they were going to tour after that. Anyway, so I don't really, I mean, more of what I would, think about would be able to go into a time machine and go to Woodstock or see Zeppelin at Dan and the Green in '77. Those are the two shows I really would love to see.
Nurses do it better, right?
That's it, man. That is it.
I bought that shirt on eBay. Now I'm too scared to wear it.
Oh man, you gotta wear that. Who cares? The people that get it are gonna be the ones you want to talk to.
That's true. That's true. Well, I'm wearing my Tom Petty. I got this at the Greek Theater, the 40th anniversary tour shirt. And I know you're a music memorabilia guy. You're into concert shirts. So do you have one that means this is the one that's most sentimental? This is their last tour.
Yeah. I have a Day and the Green Monsters of Rock shirt from 1979. And I have Kiss from '79 also from the I Was Made for Loving You,
Wow.
Dynasty Tour. And the Dynasty Tour was really my first concert shirt. I got this Kiss shirt and I wore it every day to school and it just slowly started disintegrating, So, yeah, those two probably. I've got some pretty rare Zeppelin memorabilia shirts, but I started selling my shirts because I don't want to wear them and they're just in my closet because if you wear them, they start to fall apart. And I've kind of in a phase in my life now where I'm just trying not to wear logos on stage. It's just that's just kind of where I'm at now. I've got so many concert shirts. I'm like, what am I doing? So I want to keep like 20 of the iconic, like the Back in Black tour shirt from the Cow Palace and Van Halen Fair Warning t-shirt and, stuff like that are really also iconic designs,
Well, after a show through the years, I started trying to collect a set list or get guitar picks. I have a Lenny Kravitz and a Chris Cornell guitar pick. So were you ever into that? Do you have any of that stuff through the years or?
I have a box of picks that are so fucking amazing. And I think I saw a guy put them in kind of like coin holders. So I was thinking about framing like 25 of them. I got really old ones. I got like Blue Oyster Cult. I got, Angus Young. I got early Metallica. I have early Eddie Van Halen. I mean, I got a lot of amazing picks. Me and this buddy of mine, Eric Wettenkamp, man, we were like, rats on the ground. As soon as the concert was over and the lights went on, it was on the ground looking for the picks. And, you'd find money. You'd find all kinds of shit to watch. Man, it was potluck down there on the fucking ground, man.
I got some good Rick Nielsen ones. Those are in a frame.
Oh yeah, I got a bunch of those. Some of those bands, they throw like 1,000 out the whole show. Makes it way easier. But back in the day, the guy would throw like 2. If you got one, oh my God, it was like fucking, Willy Wonka golden ticket. You were just like, dudes are diving on you, just taking you out. There was no fucking, people are like, he's a bully. Go to a concert back in the day in the front row, man. It was straight up Vietnam. Dudes were battling. And I was only like 5 foot. I'm just smashed up onto the front rail, like, oh.
Well, one thing I thought was cool that relates to comedy and music was maybe a few months ago they had the awesome Janie's Fund event with Tiffany Haddish, you, Bill Burr, and Steven Tyler. So that was kind of cool because you got Steven Tyler in your arena. You're at the Comedy Store, right?
Yeah, he asked me to put that together like
Wow.
6 months ago. So I put together what I thought was an amazing group of comedians. It was me, Kevin Christie, Bobby Lee, Adam Ray, Ian Edwards, Bill Burr, and Tiffany Haddish. And we had an evening. It was a charity event for Janie's Fun at the Comedy Store in the main room. And it was fucking electric, man. I mean, Steven Tyler is one of the first guys I ever saw live in concert. And here he is alive still after, serious in and out of drugs. So he's alive. I'm doing comedy and he's bringing me up. It's fucking crazy.
You're like, did I die? Am I going to heaven or?
It's absolutely unbelievable. The things that would have to happen in my life for that to happen is crazy.
Yeah, well, it sounds like you know him. So have you ever nerded out a little bit or ask him or tell him certain things as a rock and roll fan?
Well, I love Done with Mirrors, the record Done with Mirrors, and that's the one Ted Templeman did, and that's the one where they're supposed to be quote unquote coming back sober. And I'd always heard they hated that record, so I go, "Hey man, I just want to let you know that all your records are fantastic. Obviously, the early ones are iconic, but to me, the Done with Mirrors record is a fucking smoker." And he's like, "Oh no, man, I like that record. I like that record a lot." And I was like, "Oh, okay. I just thought that you guys weren't into it." And he's all, "No, it was just like the business at the time fucked it up and stuff." But, and then we started singing, Sheila, she like a bowling chain. We were backstage, man, and people were losing their minds because he's like, "Oh man, you got the high voice." And we started doing Beatles songs like "Oh Darling," and we're singing together. And I'm going like, this is fucking crazy.
Wow.
I mean, Adam Ray was like, "I can't even believe what's going on right now. You're singing with Steven Tyler," and he's going, "Man, you got it." Because he knew I did the Bon Scott thing. And I started singing some Bon Scott, and he was like, "Holy shit, man." It was great. Magic night, dude. Magic.
Steven Tyler and Dr. Phil all in the same room.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Well, I got to ask because my dad's favorite band, so that's how I was raised, knowing about some of the classic bands. Are you a big Thin Lizzy guy or?
Oh, yeah, big time. Thin Lizzy makes me angry more than any band because the radio only plays two Thin Lizzy songs, and it makes me fucking furious. Boys Are Back in Town and Jailbreak.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of like, come on, man. This band is so goddamn deep in material and so original and so fire. And they just do not get the proper airplay. It's wild to me. I would be so mad if I was, in Thin Lizzy and you're going like, "Hey man, what about this? What about Renegade? What about,
Cowboy song.
yeah, just all that stuff, Wild.
Well, you said you don't really get nervous, but do you get a little nervous when I heard Gene Simmons pops in at the Comedy Store
Yeah.
to perform in front of, one of the original Kiss members and friend of the show?
I don't know who's out there till after. So they don't come up and go, "Gene Simmons is here. You better kill." I mean, I was on stage one night and I was having one of those sets of my life. And I walked off stage and someone said, "Hey, man, somebody wants to meet you. They loved your set." And I walked out the parking lot. It was Dr. Dre.
Wow.
And I was like, "Oh my God, I fucking grew up on Dr. Dre, NWA, Snoop Dogg, all of that era." And I was just floored. He was like, "I got a great picture." He's like, "Man, you were incredible, man. I can't even." It was wild. He had like a SUV that was fully bulletproof. And it was like one of these super SUVs like a president would be in or something. And he had drivers and bodyguards because, hey, that guy's a billionaire, an actual billionaire. So it was wild to talk to him, man. And Gene, it's always amazing. Gene, one night I was on, Leonardo DiCaprio was there.
Wow.
Josh Homme, I never know when he's in there. He doesn't tell me. And then after the set, he's like, "Meet me out front," or whatever. I'm like, "Fuck, you were here?"
Well, another guy you're friends with for many years, I'm a huge, and speaking of underrated, I think wallflowers are criminally underrated.
Oh,
And I loved your episode with Jacob Dylan back in the day.
well, that guy's another best friend of mine, an actual amazing friend all these years. We've been friends for 35 years or something.
Wow.
So I was friends with him before he was famous. I was friends with him after the big record. And I'll tell you this, man, he made a record about a year ago that is one of the greatest records in the last 20 years. So the guy is continuously making incredible music. And he's one of those people, kind of like Kings of Leon,
Mhm.
or these type of bands where they have a big record. Black Crows, it happened to, where the people are like, whatever happened to them? And it's like, no, whatever happened to you?
Yeah.
Like, you just like the flavor of the week. You weren't a true fan. If you were a true fan, you would follow somebody all the way through their career. And I've been lucky enough to have a lot of people that follow me for years. And those, they say in the New York Times, if you have 1,000 true fans, you can do art the rest of your life.
Hmm.
And I'm constantly working on that. You might think that that's not a lot, but it's a lot to get true fans that are on your Patreon. They come to the shows when you're in town. There's no like, I'll catch you next time. They listen to the podcast. They follow you in any endeavor that you do. And I'm like that with a lot of bands that I love. And Jacob's been one of those. I'm in awe of his career and his songwriting. I mean, to have Bruce Springsteen say, "Oh, this is one of the greatest records made" on one of his solo albums about 10 years ago, you don't get a better endorsement than Bruce Springsteen.
Yeah. Well, that made me think when you said that. You probably remember this. I don't know where you were at the time, but did you ever go to the Wallflowers and Creed show at Alcatraz?
Yeah, I was there.
Wow.
Yeah, I got pictures from that. I was there. It was the second show ever on Alcatraz, I believe. Now people are going to Google that. You were fucking wrong. But the first was Bob Dylan, like in the 60s or 70s, when the Indians, the tribe that took over Alcatraz, like, this is our island, we're taking it. And he did like a benefit show out there, I believe. Anyway, yeah, I was there. It was for T-Mobile early on when T-Mobile was launching in America. T-Mobile was big in Europe, and they were trying to get it going in America. And they were doing these, pop-up concerts. And one was at Alcatraz. And I'll tell you, the coolest thing was we got there during the day, and one of the rangers, it's a, state park now, whatever, he gave us like a full-on back door tour of the place, not just your standard one. I mean, like, we were seeing shit,
You're not supposed to see.
well, they just can't bring everybody in because there's so many tourists there and stuff. But man, we were seeing some cool ass shit. And that, that place is insane. Like, it's, to me, it's kind of like Jaws. That movie Escape from Alcatraz with Clint Eastwood, that whole thing of, those three guys, did they escape? Did they die? Whatever. It's just wild what they did, making those rafts out of like, rain jackets and
Yeah.
taking hair from the barber shop and making these, paper mache faces and shit. This is fucking nuts. The ability of man wanting to get the fuck out.
Well, one last thing, real quick on music. I wanted to ask you, since you're a diehard Led Zeppelin fan. I've seen Robert Plant on some of his solo stuff, and I was at Hardly Strictly Bluegrass a few years ago, and you could hear his voice kind of echoing through the park. Does it ever make you mad? Like, why are you keeping this from the fans? They could reunite. He still sounds awesome. I feel like he's keeping Jimmy Page, and what's his name on bass?
John Paul Jones.
Yeah, like they're keeping him hostage. I think it'd be amazing.
I respect him to the fullest. And, I can relate with it in a way. Of course, I'm not fucking from Led Zeppelin and what, but when people want to box you in for their own selfish reasons because they want to see Led Zeppelin, it's like when I stopped playing music and started doing comedy, people would be like, "Oh, well, why'd you stop music?" It's like, well, you weren't really coming to the shows, so you're just saying that now because, there's a thing where humans as artists want to grow. And then there's other people that are just those, county fair acts that just go out and play every year. And eventually they have no original members and they're fucking charging people the same amount of money to see this band with no original members. And it's a broken system of, like it's kind of fabricated from greedy promoters and stuff. Like, you got to get out there, man. You can make like 500 million. It's like, well, I'm in Led Zeppelin. I make so much damn money daily. This over here makes me happy. And I'm in the back end of my life. I don't need to go out and play music on 120 dB. That being said, I don't think that Jimmy really wants to do it anyway because he has not been on stage other than the O2 Arena one time, I believe, with the Black Crowes, another time with the Foo Fighters, I believe. In the last 20 years, he could have easily maybe put the Firm back together or put some kind of thing together. But Jimmy, for some reason, and we do not know, has not been out and played at all. So there could be more to it than we know, and that comes down to the amazing mystique of Led Zeppelin. They were one of the only bands that ever had mystique, and Peter Grant, their manager, really fucking kept them in this kick-ass bubble where it was just about the art. So I'm not mad at all at Robert Plant, and I've seen him a few times, and it's fucking great, man. Oh my God.
That voice still carries.
Yeah, and listen to his solo albums. I think that like people get so caught up in Zeppelin that they just don't listen to the solo albums, the early ones, man. I'm in the mood for a melody. That shit is great, man.
Well, great point there. Love Led Zeppelin as well. And I've seen you at the Epic Punchline in San Francisco. I've had Adam Ray on the show. He speaks, I think he said it's his favorite club, Greg Fitzsimmons. And I've even seen Chappelle pop in there a lot. So what is it with the Punchline, do you think, that comics love just being here, it seems like?
Well, San Francisco, it was an iconic comedy city. And a lot of people talk about we're in the second wave of the comedy boom. And it might be trailing off a little bit now due to just the abundance of fucking here comedy with, clips and Instagram and TikTok and all that. But back in the day, San Francisco was truly a fucking mecca for comedy. And you would go compete in this San Francisco comedy competition. And the fucking spotlight was on the city. You had Robin Williams, you had Bobcat, you had Bobby Slayton, Carrie Snow, and Alex Bennett, the morning radio. You had the Punchline, Cobb's, the Holy City Zoo. Over the years, San Francisco is really, really been known as a comedy town. And that Punchline, like the Comedy Store original room, like the Cellar downstairs room, it has so much roots in the comedy community that people know the reputation. If you're playing the Punchline, 90% of the time, it's somebody fucking good. They don't really just throw garbage in there. And that's a thing. Some rooms are just built to sell drinks, and some are built to let you perform art. And that's one of them.
Awesome. Well, last thing here then, it kind of made me think in the moment. You said how Day on the Green kind of it kind of shaped your life, right? Influenced you. And the interesting about comedy that I've noticed is if you go to the Comedy Store or the Improv, you can go see 5 or 6 main headline acts, and it's kind of like the comedy version of Day on the Green. It just happens more often.
Well, yeah, man, nightly. I always tell people, you really want to see comedy? Go to the Comedy Store on a Tuesday or Wednesday, because that's most of the headliners are home. They're not on the road on the weekends. And you're going to see a mind-boggling lineup for like 20. I don't know I think it's $20 to get in. So you're not going to see anything better than that. You're going to see all the people that are on Netflix or Hulu or HBO or YouTube that are big in a row, and they each do 15. So in this ADD world, it's just electric, just bam, bam, bam. And you're seeing them work on shit. I'm in there working on stuff. I got notes. I may eat dicks nightly, but that's part of this, part of it, seeing the process. Oh my God, we saw when he was working that back bit, now look at it. It's killer, so that, if you're in New York, go to the Cellar or the Stand. If you're in LA, go to the Store. And if you're in San Francisco, definitely go down to the Punchline,
Well, Dean, I got to say, it's been very full circle and awesome to have you on the show. I've been a fan for years, and I'm going to put a link in the bio, put the word out so people can check out your special, 5836. And last question here. You're going off with Tom Green, like you said. So what's going on today? What's on the agenda for today?
Well, I got to drive to fucking Fontana. So in a world of LA traffic, the show's at 7. So I'll have to leave at 3. And then I'll just hang around in the green room at a theater and look at Instagram, then go over some notes and, eat something and then go on stage and then have a 20-minute drive home. From a 3-hour drive there and a 20-minute ride home.
Well, Dean, kick some butt tonight, and it was fun to talk comedy and talk some rock and roll. So thanks for the time.
Yeah, thanks for having me, buddy.
I'll see ya.
See you, buddy.